Hola, ¿cómo estás? Espero que todo esté bien contigo. This is Tamara Marie, host of the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast. I wanted to ask you a quick question before we get started with this episode. Do you have trouble hearing and understanding native Spanish speakers? Whether you've been learning Spanish for 2 weeks or 2 years, it can be a struggle to really understand the fast pace of Spanish spoken by native speakers. So if that's you, don't worry, I got you. I have developed a method that will help you understand 80% of spoken Spanish in less than 30 minutes. This method will help you improve your ability to hear and understand native Spanish speakers so you can increase your listening comprehension and shed your fear of being afraid to start a conversation. A lot of times we don't want to talk to someone in Spanish because we're afraid that when they talk back, we're not going to understand what they say. So we really need to get after that fear by improving our Spanish listening skills. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'd love to share it with you. I'm providing access to this masterclass absolutely free so that you can learn how to improve your Spanish listening skills. If you want to sign up, just go to SpanishConSalsa.com/listen. That's SpanishConSalsa.com/listen. Now, we're only going to have this masterclass available for a limited time, so make sure you sign up today if you want to get access, SpanishConSalsa.com/listen. Okay, let's get to this episode of the podcast.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast,
the show for Spanish learners
that love music,
travel, and culture.
Close your grammar textbooks,
shut down the language apps, and open your ears
to how Spanish is spoken in the real world.
Let us show you
how to go from beginner
to bilingual.
Here's your host,
certified language coach,
Tamara Marie.
Hola y bienvenidos al episodio 222. Welcome to episode 222 of the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast. In this episode, we are going to talk about a song that I mentioned in the last episode. So we reviewed the verb echar, and this week we're going to break down the lyrics of the song Échame la Culpa by Luis Fonsi and Demi Lovato. So I love this song. It's really a playful song, and it's about a breakup, and it's basically saying blame me, put the blame on me. Échame la culpa. So we're going to go through the lyrics, we're going to give you the translation and the meaning, and I'm going to give you some phrases that you can use in your daily conversations. So I'm going to explain how they're used in the song and also give you some examples that you can use to practice and hopefully come up with your own phrases so that you can use echar and some of the other phrases from the song in your daily conversation. So by the end of this episode, I really hope that one, you'll be singing along with the song. Even if you can't sing like me, it's okay. No one can hear you in your car. So I hope you'll be singing along, and also that you'll have some new phrases that you can actually use in your next conversation. All right. So as always, if you go to our website, learnspanishconsalsa.com/222, all twos, for episode 222 of the podcast, I will include the song there so that you can also check out the lyrics. Great way to practice and kind of see what the lyrics are in their written form. I know that definitely helps me when I'm trying to improve my listening comprehension, and I hope it will help you too. Before I get into this episode, I did want to mention that if you missed the last go rounds, like at the beginning of the year, when we were inviting people into our Spanish Fluency Club, I want to give you a heads up that we will be opening the doors again really soon this spring. So I'm so happy spring is coming, or it's here, right? Spring is here. And so I wanted to give you a heads up. If you go to SpanishConsalsa.com/join, you'll be able to get on our wait list. So this is important because if you're on our wait list, you will get early access to join, and we have limited spots. So once we fill up for our Fluency Club this spring, then we will not be able to take anyone else. So if you're on our list, you'll be the first one to know, and you'll get to sign up early. You'll get early access. So go to SpanishConsalsa.com/join if you want to be on the waitlist for our Fluency Club. And if you're not familiar, our Spanish Fluency Club, this is our signature program. This is really where a lot of people come to us having, learned Spanish for a while, maybe traveled abroad, spent decades trying to learn on their own or with apps or in school, and just couldn't get the language to click. But joining our Fluency Club, because we give you all the support you need, we give you some great music to listen to, as well as some very practical lessons and weekly conversation practice with our amazing team of native Spanish speakers so that you get all of the accountability, community, and really the commitment that you need to make real progress with Spanish. So if you started out 2025 like, I'm going to get fluent this year, and you're not there yet, or, if you're listening to this in the future, definitely make sure you sign up on our wait list because you will always know when we open doors again. But if this was a goal that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year and you haven't made the progress that you wanted to, this is a great time to join in the spring, right? A lot of people are getting their energy back after the winter. I know I had a little bit of a slump in the wintertime. I know a lot of people did. So this is a great time to kind of re-engage, get yourself back into meeting the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year. So again, SpanishConsalsa.com/join if you want to learn more about our Spanish Fluency Club. All right. Now with that, let's get into the lyrics of the song, Échame la Culpa. All right. So in the first verse, and this is Luis Fonsi, he's saying, Tengo en esta historia algo que confesar. Tengo en esta historia algo que confesar. So it means I have something to confess in this story. All right. So he's using the verb confesar, which again, very easy to translate. It means to confess. And this is great when you're about to admit something, right? You could say, tengo que confesar algo importante. So I have to confess something important, right? You have to reveal something that you may have hidden. Okay. So, or if you're going to say, look, all right, I need to come clean, right? Te confieso que olvidé comprar la leche. Te confieso que olvidé comprar la leche. So it's I confess that I forgot to buy the milk, right? So again, a lot of this song is about who's to blame, right? And so this is a great phrase to use when you're taking the blame for something. You're taking responsibility. Look, I got to be honest. Okay, this is what I did. Tengo que confesar. All right, the next line he says, Ya entendí muy bien qué fue lo que pasó. Ya entendí muy bien qué fue lo que pasó. So I now fully understand what happened. All right. So ya entendí muy bien. So entendí muy bien is saying I understand very well, right? Or now I'm really getting it. Okay. I understand lo que pasó. So that's what happened. So there is a subtle difference. So I want to explain when he's saying ya entendí instead of just entendí. So entendí means I understood. But ya entendí, it's a little subtle difference, but it's important, right? So for example, I could say, entendí la lección. Entendí la lección. That just means I understood the lesson. Now, if I say, ya entendí, that has a sense of oh, now I get it. Or I finally understood. All right. So it's it took me a minute, right? I didn't catch on at first, but now I get it. So, for example, I could say, ya entendí cómo funciona este programa. Now I understand how this program works. Okay, so again, it's subtle, but it's important to kind of get. He's saying okay, now I really understand what happened. I may not have got it before. I may have been a little slow, but now I get it. All right. Then he says, y aunque duela tanto, tengo que aceptar. Y aunque duela tanto, tengo que aceptar. So, and even though it hurts so much, I have to accept. All right. So the word aunque means even though. So this is a connector, right? It's saying contrast. It's even though this, I have to do this, right? So even though it hurts, duela tanto, it hurts so much, tengo que aceptar. I have to accept it. So you can use the word aunque as well in normal conversation. So if you want to say, aunque llueva, voy a salir a correr. Aunque llueva, voy a salir a correr. So even though it's raining, I'm going out for a run, right? So again, even though this is happening, I'm going to proceed with what I planned. Aunque no me gusta el café, lo tomo para despertarme. Aunque no me gusta el café, lo tomo para despertarme. So even though I don't like coffee, I drink it to wake myself up, right? I know a lot of people get in the habit of drinking coffee just because you can't live without it, right? So again, even though this is true, I'm doing something else. All right, next line, he says, que tú no eres la mala, que el mala soy yo. Que tú no eres la mala, que el malo soy yo. So that you are not the bad one is me. Like, I'm the bad guy. So he's like, I realize now I have to accept it, even though it hurts. Like, it was all me. It was my fault. Okay. All right. So right before the chorus, Luis Fonsi says, no me conociste nunca de verdad. No me conociste nunca de verdad. So he's basically saying you never really knew me, like the real me. So you never truly got to know me. Ya se fue la magia que te enamoró. Ya se fue la magia que te enamoró. So he says the magic that made you fall in love is gone. Okay, ya se fue. So it's already gone. La magia. Ya se fue la magia que te enamoró. Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar. Y es que no quisiera estar en tu lugar. And so he's saying, and so I wouldn't want to be in your place. Like, I would not want to be in your position right now. Porque tu error solo fue conocerme. Porque tu error solo fue conocerme. So because your only mistake was meeting me. Ouch. Right? So he's almost saying, like, I'm the worst thing that ever happened to you. The opposite of I'm the best thing that ever happened to you. So I think we know why they're breaking up. Okay. So in the chorus, he just says over and over again, no eres tú, no eres tú, no eres tú, soy yo. So it's not you, it's not you, it's me. Which is actually kind of funny because that's like a common phrase. It's not you, it's me. It says, no te quiero hacer sufrir. No te quiero hacer sufrir. So I don't want to make you suffer. So again, no te quiero, in this case, he's not saying I don't love you. He's saying I don't want to make you suffer. So that's important. No te quiero hacer sufrir. So I don't want. So in this case, querer or te quiero, it's not meaning I love you. It's meaning want. I don't want you to. All right, so that's kind of important. Es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. Es mejor olvidar y dejarlo así. So it's better forget and just leave it like that. Leave it as it is. Okay, so dejarlo así, you can think of like a phrase. So dejar is literally like to let or to leave. But dejarlo así is like, look, we need to move on. Just leave it be, right? Let it be how it is. So you could say something like in a conversation, terminemos la discusión y déjalo así. Terminemos la discusión y déjalo así. So look, let's end the argument and leave it like this. Just leave it, like drop it, basically. Si no puedes cambiarlo, déjalo así. Si no puedes cambiarlo, déjalo así. So if you can't change it, leave it as it is, right? So it's like, let it go. Kind of like Frozen, right? Déjalo así. Oh, I can't sing. Anyway. All right, and then we have the title of the song, Échame la Culpa. Blame me. So if you remember from last week when we talked about echar, or from the last episode, echar is like to throw. So if I say échame, it's like throw it on me, put the blame on me, right? So échame la culpa. So this is really kind of a dramatic way of saying it, but it's a way of saying that I want to take responsibility, right? So you can use this if, again, all of these phrases in the song are really good. Like if you want to come clean or take responsibility for something. So in this case, if you wanted to say, look, if the project fails, blame me, right? So again, this is great. Like if you're a leader or you're a manager, you want to like be the one that says, look, the buck stops here, right? That's a phrase that we use in English. So if you want to say that, you could say, si el proyecto falla, échame la culpa. Si el proyecto falla, échame la culpa. So if the project fails, blame me. Or you can also say, fue mi error, échame la culpa. Fue mi error, échame la culpa. So in this case, error is like a mistake, right? Literally error, right? Is how we would read it in English. But if you say it, it's also a way of saying my mistake. So fue mi error, échame la culpa. It was my mistake, blame me. All right, so great way to take responsibility. A tad dramatic, like I said, but it's understood. So then now we have sort of like the response comes in. It's like, okay, sé que fue mi error, solamente te falta un beso. Okay, sé que fue mi error, solamente te falta un beso. So this is okay, I know it was my mistake. It was my mistake. You just need one more kiss. All right, échame la culpa. All right, and then it says, solamente te falta un beso. ese beso que siempre te prometí. Ese beso que siempre te prometí. So that kiss that I always promised you, right? So again, just kind of like a fun, playful song. So I hope you enjoyed that. Again, definitely check it out. Make sure you go to our show notes page, learnspanishconsalsa.com/222, so you can listen to Échame la Culpa and you can hear this song. So we already talked about some of the phrases in the song that you could use. So I'll just kind of review some of those because, again, the whole point of this, I hope you're not just listening to this to just add to your playlist, although that's amazing. I want you to actually be able to use some of these words in the real world, right? That's why we're learning Spanish. We want to be able to talk to and communicate with people. And a lot of this, again, is about, talking about our actions, how to take responsibility for our actions, how to come clean, So that's what a lot of these phrases are used for. They don't have to be very dramatic, right? There's plenty of times in day-to-day life where you want to say, look, this is my fault, or I made a mistake, right? That's human. So this is a great thing to know how to say. So we talked about a couple examples. We talked about confesar, to confess, which again doesn't have to be like, confession in church. It could just be to like tell the truth. So I could say, tengo que confesar algo importante. I have to confess, or I have to tell you something important. I have to come clean. That's a great way to think about it in English. And te confieso que olvidé comprar la leche. So we talked about that earlier. I confess that I forgot to buy the milk, right? So somebody say, where's the milk? Oh, te confieso. Fue mi error. Se me olvidé comprar la leche. Okay. Then we also had this ya entendí. Ya entendí. Which means like I finally understood. Like I get it now. So ya entendí el problema. It's like, now I understand the problem. Ya entendí el problema. Or you can say, ya entendí cómo funciona esto. Ya entendí cómo funciona esto. It's like, I finally understood how this works. So again, that's a great one to know because, again, we probably know the verb entender, to understand. It's probably one of the first things we learn how to say is like, no entiendo mucho español, right? Like, I don't understand a lot of Spanish. But in this case, that ya entendí, it's like, now I get it. I finally understand. So I think that's a great way to add a little bit more meaning to your conversations. And then we had aunque, which means even though, right? So aunque hace frío, voy a salir. Aunque hace frío, voy a salir. So even though it's cold, I'm going out, which is probably a phrase I will never use because when it's cold, cuando hace frío, yo nunca salgo. So like I hardly ever go out when it's very cold. You could also say, aunque estoy cansado, voy a estudiar. Aunque estoy cansado, voy a estudiar. So even though I'm tired, in my case, I would say, aunque estoy cansada, porque soy una mujer, pero si eres un hombre, aunque estoy cansado, voy a estudiar. So even though I'm tired, I'm going to study. Which I hope you're saying about Spanish, because, listen to the song, Échame la Culpa. That's a great way of studying, even though you're tired. And then we have dejarlo así, to leave it like it is. So, mejor dejamos el diseño así. Mejor dejamos el diseño así. It's better we leave the design as it is. Or like this, right? So we better leave the design like this. Déjalo así. No lo cambies más. This is more of a command. Leave it alone. Leave it like it is. Don't change it anymore. So, man, I can't think of times when this is definitely something that you need to learn to say to yourself if you're a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist, like I like to say I am. Déjalo así is like leave it like it is. Leave it alone. Don't change it anymore. No lo cambies más. So like, look, it's good enough. Let it be. And then, of course, the name of the song, Échame la Culpa, is blame me. All right, so si algo sale mal, échame la culpa. Something goes wrong, blame me. Si algo sale mal, échame la culpa. Or if I just want to look, I did it. Blame me, it was me. I could say, yo lo hice, échame la culpa. All right, So again, I hope you have enjoyed learning some more Spanish with this song, Échame la Culpa, different use of the verb echar. And I want you to make sure that you come to our website at learnspanishconsalsa.com, listen to the song, and think about like some of these phrases and how you can start to use them in conversation. So take note of some of the phrases. And also I want you to listen to the song and see if you were able to identify some of the lyrics that we reviewed today. So hopefully as you listen to the song, it's a little bit easier to understand because you listened to this episode first. All right. So again, as always, I hope that something you heard in this episode will take you one step closer from Spanish beginner to bilingual. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, share it with a friend who's learning Spanish, and definitely listen to the song Échame la Culpa. And if you're interested in taking your Spanish to the next level, go to SpanishConsalsa.com/join. Get on the waitlist for our Spanish Fluency Club so you'll be the first to know when we open doors again. Hasta la próxima.
Thank you for listening to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast at learnspanishconsalsa.com.